Good morning, everyone. Good evening. Welcome. Can you all hear me okay? Great. So, firstly, I want to have a look and see all your beautiful faces. So actually, everyone can take a moment to switch the gallery view if you have that option. And let's just take in the group field here, the presence field. You might have to switch fields using your arrow keys because we have a number of people joining us today. And as we're just getting acquainted with with how it feels, like notice how it feels to see each other. I want to also invite you to just, punch into the chat where you're located right now, so we can start to get a sense of where we are where we're representing the globe. London, Italy, welcome. New York, Colorado, Oakland, Austria, Saskatchewan, Canada, Spain, UK, Israel, yeah, beautiful. Canary Islands. Yeah. So as I sort of go through the screen, I scroll through your little thumbnails, right? I start to feel a sense of Vancouver, BC. Start to feel a sense of tapestry of consciousness, a quilt that is beginning to be woven into form so that we can not just connect more deeply to ourselves, but to tap into the potential of the collective consciousness that's available to us and for us, for our evolution and for our awakening. And oftentimes as human beings, this happens most profoundly through connection with each other, through conscious connection. So as we're here to connect with ourselves, with our primordial nature, that is, where we have spawned from, where we have come into form from. And we're also here to connect with each other. For each of us are unique and, non-replicatable forms of the formless nature. And as we connect with each other, we actually build a vehicle of presence that is part of our human potential. And so I personally feel the blessings, the merits that come through shared practice. And so today we have a unique opportunity to capitalize on this shared field, to engage in an experience together, right? To experience together what it's like to kind of anchor back into the source, to the ground of dimensionless silence and stillness from which we have birthed. And as we do that together, we also today have an opportunity to download some new source codes, some new consciousness codes, primordial programs, if you will, that we need, but we certainly will assist us as humans and as a human community to navigate and to remain true to our nature as we move through the birth pangs of humanity that we are all experiencing in different ways at this time. And birth, as we know, for those who have, birthed or been present at a birth, well, we've all been birthed, actually. We've all been present at a birth, actually, although we may forget it. They're difficult, they're painful. The contractions can be quite profound, to say the least, yeah. And so it feels that way. It feels we are in the midst of contractions on planet Earth as a human consciousness. We are getting squeezed, and I feel it is through some kind of a birth canal. And the directives and the messages that I'm getting and receiving are very much about the potential that we have, that we can actually experience together at this time, perhaps unprecedented way, perhaps, for the first time as a collective, we have certain potentials that that can be activated, actualized. But it won't happen automatically for most people. It's because the forces at play right now are pretty obscuring, pretty spellbounding for many people. And even those of us with very good intentions, at this time, it's easy to get caught in forces and vortices that are not of the primordial nature or the light that is in our evolutionary kind of stream of potential. And so it's important for us to gather like this and to activate those portals so that we can, weather through the coming storms with the indestructible presence that cannot be really moved by the winds and the waves and the turbulence of distortion. And so we'll go through a process together. There'll be several parts to it. The first part will just be a guided meditation where we're going to establish a vessel, you could say, like establish a temple of consciousness, individually and collectively, in order to be able to receive the light codes in an optimal way. And then the second part, once we've established enough of a kind of group presence, then we'll engage in a kind of installment of the codes into our operating systems, if you will. Now, the primordial masters from which these codes are being revealed are deeply honoring of free will and of consent. That's a a truism. It's part of our human nature from their perspective, and so it's important that we each exercise that and engage in this process from a place of free will, choice, and consent. Yeah. So that's something that you can do at each moment. It's not something that you have to commit to all the way through. But it's really important to stay true to your own nervous system, to your own compass of truth and of goodness, and honor that and trust that. This should be quite gentle. And the way these primordial codes work is they really are just meeting you exactly where you are. It'll be very different for each person. And at the same time, we are talking about a kind of input to the extent to which we receive it that has the potential to kind of affect our perception of reality. You know, which could be a great thing for most of us. But it could be quite disturbing too if you're very deeply committed to sort of the way you're used to seeing things and experiencing things. So this is really for. So you want to check in with that, is what I'm saying, and and feel into that kind of thread as we go. Okay, and for the downloading installment piece of it, I'll guide you through parts of that, but some of it will be done in silence, and and I'll just give you some instructions about how to hold that, okay, and how to kind of receive that, and then we'll have some time to kind of process the experience and integrate, and we should be this should not go beyond an hour from 10, so another 40 minutes or so. Okay. Okay, so I'd like everyone to take a moment to make sure you're in a comfortable position wherever you are. Make sure you're in a place where you can experience this as much as possible in an undistracted way. So if you need to move rooms or change positions, it's okay. If it's uncomfortable sitting down, it's okay to kind of relax in a different way. Okay. And let's just take a few full breaths together to begin. Okay. We're going to begin by just connecting with our bodies. So take a moment to begin to sense into your right foot. And in this practice, the sensing is not so much from the outside in. This isn't about being aware of sensation. This is about actually activating your inner sensing body. Okay, so that means finding that place in your consciousness that can touch into your experience in an intimate way. In this case, feeling into the body from the inside out, starting with your right foot. Okay. Let this sensing consciousness really fill in the space of the foot, sensing the bones, the muscles, each of the toes. It's kind of like you're starting to feel more fully the living spirit that's animating the body. And expand this self-sensing presence now up into the right ankle and up into the right lower leg. Give yourself permission to take this time to be intimate with yourself, to feel and touch into your bodied experience. Sense into the leg, sense into the bones. What's the dimensionality like? What's the texture of the muscles like if you actually touch? Touch into. Get in touch with yourself. Don't forget to breathe, and with each breath, allow the breath to really assist your sensing consciousness, bringing more life and presence into the body, expanding up into the right knee and the right upper leg now. Explore, like you're exploring the body of a lover. Explore your body. This is intimate time for you. Allow your consciousness to feel into the whole inner space of the right leg from the toes all the way up to the hip now. And now begin sensing into your right hand, fingers, bones. It's kind of like you're allowing your consciousness to sense itself as the body, through the body. You may start to feel a subtle vibrating quality or sense of presence in the hand and in the leg. Expand this, including the wrist and the lower right arm. The right elbow. What's the volume like, the dimensionality like? Include now the upper right arm, all the way up to the shoulder. The whole right arm and the whole right leg. Awake. Awake through touch. Intimate knowing of yourself. Now the left shoulder, if you just sort of allow your consciousness to expand across your torso to the upper left arm. Sense the bone, the humerus bone. Muscles. Expand into the left elbow and the left lower arm. Can you sense the two bones in the lower arm? The radius and the ulnas. Feel this is direct, immediate sensing. The inner body is a sensory body. Allow it to come online, to awaken, to feel into and through the body from the inside out, expanding into the left wrist and the left hand. Fingers. Whole left arm now, from the shoulder down to the fingertips. Awake, in touch, intimate, immediate, self-sensing. You're beginning to notice that the thinking mind is slowing down and it might even have stopped. It's just the living body now adding the left hip and the left upper leg. Sensing the bone, the femur bone. Sense the whole volume and shape of the leg, all the way down into the left knee and the left lower leg. With each breath, the breath brings more life and presence into the space of the body, all the way down into the left ankle and left foot now, feeling the life, the blood, the spirit, the self-sensing presence of the whole left leg and the whole left arm and the whole right leg and right arm. Both arms and both legs are simply alive from the inside out, self-sensing, in touch, intimate, direct, immediate, no filter, sensation. Breath, breathing, breath filling whole body, effortlessly presencing. Notice the sense of concentration, of wakefulness and connection that is intrinsic in this presencing state. There's nothing to do but just allow life to be natural, to be alive. It's as if the consciousness has rerouted itself, has recentered itself. The center is now the self-sensing body. And it's from here that we now perceive. Notice what it's like to hear my voice. not from the ordinary ears, not from the thinking mind, but from the sensing body. As the living body of presence. Just sound, touching, vibrations, moving, frequencies. Impacting and touching and affecting consciousness. Okay. And keep breathing, allowing the breath to flow, to fill and fulfill presencing body. There's nothing more to do. This is now about being. Allow yourself to abide, to just be, to rest in the living body, as the living body. As you stay present in this way, I'm just taking a moment to scan the field, scan the group. And check in with the matrix, the mandala of presence that's forming in our collective. As this temple is being constructed, it's important to continue to sense in this sort of direct, immediate way. And as each of us engages the immediacy of our experience in the here and now, the group web, this matrix, begins to crystallize more clearly. And as this happens, a temple is constructed which can receive the codes and programs that we need as a human collective. Almost there. Just sense into your arms and legs, like allow it to kind of intensify. A little bit more, don't hold back. Feel. Okay. Good. And now, this sense of concentrated presence, there's a certain kind of living quality, a life quality that has come awakened. Presence. There's also more of a silence and a stillness that's forming. Allow this kind of presence to now start to crystallize in a more focused way in your core. Okay, now this is not something you have to do. It's more like inviting it and allowing it. Because at the center of the inner womb, let's say, kind of like a magnet. It's going to start to magnetize a more deeper sense of concentration right now. Like the presence of the arms and the legs starts to root and anchor itself at the source point, right? The source of our body, of our life, in our core, in our lower belly. Just allow that to take hold. And with that comes a sense of dropping deeper. Almost like you're dropping, like sinking inside of an ocean, and there's more and more depth, more and more silence, becomes more and more still. You start to notice that there's less ripples. It's almost like the surface of the water is getting further and further away. The sounds, even if there are sounds in your environment, it's like they're becoming a little bit more muffled, a little bit more dense. We're returning more to the womb, to the primordial space prior to formation. Allow your consciousness to anchor, just as an anchor drops down to the bottom of the ocean. Allow your consciousness to drop, to fall, to sink, to root itself into the ground. It's like the silence has a density and a palpability. The whole body is like immersed in the substance of silence, of substance of stillness. And again, allow yourself to just rest here. This is home. This is your birthright. This is your ground, your source. We can rest here. Allow the mind to completely silence. Good. Now, in the very depths of this space, there is a portal. There's nothing to do here. There's nothing to look for. It will reveal itself to you. You may experience it a little bit higher than the belly, like in between the heart and the belly. And we want to just hold the intention here that what we receive is the purest light of goodness, pure goodness. It's the seed consciousness from which the human consciousness was spawned. If you're starting to feel sensations or experiences that are confusing or vertigo or something like that, just keep sensing and grounding into your legs or your feet. Okay. Again, nothing to do, just be here. As you hold this intention and you just be aware of the potential of this portal, the collective temple begins to kind of like open to receive. Now, what it's receiving is already here, of course. Okay, so these root structures of consciousness are now manifesting more clearly in the atmosphere of the group field. And just stay in touch with yourself and just start to notice what you experience. Okay, and I'm just going to take a moment to connect with each of you here. And now some of you are already seeing things and experiencing more specific information coming through the portal. So the field is starting to expand. So just start noticing. You may start to notice how your own kind of field of consciousness is shifting a bit. Nothing to do, just notice here. And staying in this anchored, rooted space, open to the portal of light. See what you start to notice inside the inner space. These are now, the codes are now individualizing, different for each person. Okay, so we each have specific needs in order to navigate what's coming. And we have collective needs, and the codes are kind of like modifying, modulating, and organizing themselves in specific shapes and specific data for each person. So just notice like what you're receiving, what you're feeling, what you're experiencing in your body. Okay. The effect on the collective is more equanimity, more objective peace, more implicit understanding of our potential, of clarity and purity of goodness, of light that is our nature. The specific codes are kind of starting to work on the body now, on the cellular level, even on the mitochondria, to allow us to integrate the wisdom of the primordial realms into our human embodied life. The body itself is upgrading. Just notice what you experience. Let's just give it another few minutes in silence here. Just tracking the field. Okay. So now, take a moment to just sense into your arms and legs once again. Take note of your experience, of what you have received here, what you noticed. Allow your body or your cells to kind of memorize, to be imprinted, stamped with the presence, the source codes that have manifested here today for you. Feel what your body feels like right now. How is it? And now opening the eyes slowly, take a moment to kind of, orient here from this state, from this mode. Notice what your perception is like. Is it the same, different than before? There's no right or wrong. It's just noticing, taking stock. Okay. The primordial light is still here. It didn't go anywhere. It's actually always here. It is the ground upon which we walk in our inner world and in our outer world. Okay. And so look around, and let's look at the screen together. If you go to gallery view, let's see what this is like. What you notice as you not just experience yourself, but experience yourself as part of a field of consciousness. Notice what's the same, what's different. Okay. And how is your perception? What is your perception like? So let's just do a quick, so I want to hear just in a word or a sentence, if you put into the chat, a kind of word that captures your experience or what your takeaway is or what your insight is or what you notice. And that way we could kind of get a sense of the whole field here. If you put it into the chat, softening, spacious, vastness, vivid, unconditional love, openness, nourishing, light, stillness, calm, lightning. We can all read each other's comments. Bliss. Embodiment. Connected. Download. Yeah, I'm so curious what your downloads are. So we'll have to create a more intimate setting where we could explore more experientially. So what we did here, what we explored here, is a gift, right? It's a gift for all of us to remember, right? To remember ourselves with the ground, with the source, really, source of human consciousness, the primordial source. One second, just waiting. And we actually need that. We need that connection to the ground in order to move forward as a collective and as an individual. Yeah, because if we don't, then we're just running the old programs. Yeah, we've been sort of formatted a certain way at birth, and it was appropriate for that time and place. And now we are in a very different time and place. It requires upgrades, and so it's totally possible for us to plug in, if you will, through our life portal, through the access point into the stream of primordial light, of the primordial human consciousness, you could say. And then we can download exactly the codes that we need for our life and for our collective. And so this is one, I wanted to share with you one way to to do this, and to explore this and to experience this. And there's many ways, of course. This is the way that's coming through the particular channel of presence that I'm, kind of merged with. And so check in and see if you feel resonance with this channel, because if so, it can be a great resource for you in your life, in your everyday life, right? Because we don't have to go anywhere special or do anything special to be in alignment with, in merged with, in resonance with the light channel that is always already here, right? It's all already, we're already bound to it. We just forget, we disconnect, we lose touch, and we get seduced by the other channels that are grabbing our attention out there. And right now there are many forces at play vying for the direction of human consciousness, what direction things are going to go. We're on the brink, we're at the brink, we are at the precipice, we are on the precipice, if you will. And so tipping point, fulcrum, I don't know how many other ways I could say it. We are there. We are at that inflection point. Yes, and the primordial masters of light are very insistent that we not take this lightly, and we do take it lightly. We take the light, but we don't take it lightly, right? We take the light. We embody it. We be it. We share it. We emanate it. Because it's not just the virus that's contagious. Presence is contagious. Frequencies of light are contagious. And so we have a kind of calling. If this is our truth, if this is where we are resonant with, the calling is to do what we can to organize our life to permit the temple of life to live, the temple of life to flourish, consciousness to flourish, to thrive. And that only happens when we're plugged into the roots, to the source, to the ground. So as I'm speaking all of this to you, the temple is being sealed, right? These are not just words. If you are staying in touch, you're feeling the vibrations of what's being spoken. You're feeling the impact on your consciousness. You're noticing that there's a lot of space in between the words. And it's from that space that the words are arising. That's us, right? That we are those words that are arising out of this mystery. And so the field feels more like complete. Notice how you feel right now, what you experience. And we'll conclude this experience with a blessing that all the fruits of this shared practice, that the fruits of light that are freely offered as our inheritance, as our birthright, that they be sources of nourishment for each one of us, and that this nourishment be shared so that all beings have what they need to not just survive, but to thrive, to flourish, to experience themselves as eternal rays of the source of light. And may the merits of this practice be sources of healing for all beings on planet Earth who require healing at this time, who are in need of being touched by presence, by light, by love, by peace. And that we emerge from our human situation with really a kind of connection and interconnection that has not been experienced and known by humans before, so that we can usher in a new human life on Earth in harmony with all planets and all dimensions. Thank you all so much for joining me, and stay in touch. I'd love to see you all again soon. Thank you.